Shout out to all the people watching on YouTube. Appreciate y'all checking in. Shout out to people who came from Facebook, Twitter, all over. We really appreciate you guys.
Welcome everyone. Welcome Miss Zoila, how are you? Are you gonna have are you gonna just turn it down?
Yeah.
Because we'll do the interview first.
No, I know. I'm just getting it set.
Okay.
I think it has to be moisturized first.
Welcome Tay, how are you? We're gonna get started shortly. Can't believe today's the last day of August. Wow.
Today's the last day. It really is.
Yeah,
tomorrow's the 31st.
Yeah.
Man, this year went by so fast.
Yeah.
That's right. It was literally just January. It really blew by fast.
Oh yeah, I can remember New Year's Day like it was yesterday. Yeah, we're gonna wait for some more people to come in. Hope you guys have been well. I know it's been a little minute since our last episode, but you know, staying caught up with life outside of the internet can get really hectic. So it's good to be back.
Right, exactly. And I can remember not too long ago, I was the one interviewing her.
Oh yeah, yep.
You know, so the tables have turned for today.
Yeah, and if you guys missed that episode, you can always watch it on my YouTube channel, which is DoctorBeauty, no space, on YouTube. Welcome, Haitian Queen. I think I just won't wait because it's gonna knock it down.
Yeah.
Let me just move this down so you can see. So you can let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. We're in Pennsylvania. So yeah, it's pretty humid and it's supposed to rain tomorrow, possible tornadoes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're in hurricane season. They said as soon as tonight hits, which it's already tonight,
Exactly.
it's gonna be like raining cats, dogs, sheep, zebras, coyotes, everything outside. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So welcome Pacific Blue. So yeah, I mean, we just only thing you do is take the weather how it is. But we are praying for everyone who may be in Louisiana or has friends or family there. I know there's been a lot of damage done to a lot of properties and lives lost. So prayers out to people out there.
right, our hearts go out to you all.
Yeah. Welcome. Let's see, Janae Rose Photography. I hope I pronounced that right.
Welcome to the live stream.
Yeah, we're gonna get started in just a minute. So you can let us know in the comments where you're coming in from. Yeah, this week, I mean, I remember when August just started. I feel as though it was just over within the blink of an eye.
Right.
And once you hit September, pretty much the year is over. It's just October, November, December.
Exactly. Like, I don't want to harp on weather, but like I feel like I'm inclined to right now because of what we've been going through this year. Like, spring was basically skipped this year.
Yeah.
Like, we did not have a spring. Maybe spring lasted for like 3 days at best, but like spring was just gone. It was like winter, summer. I want to know when fall is. Like, is it as hot as it is over here? Is like, where you guys are from? Because like here we're having like 90s, hundreds, heat waves, and everything.
Yeah. No, it's been crazy. I remember we had a week where it was like 100 and above for the whole week. And they've been doing construction in our area, so the construction workers were like, F that, I'm not coming out to fix anything. It's too hot. No one wants to die of heat stroke. So, oh my goodness. It is very, very hot.
Exactly. Is this on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Welcome to everyone just coming in. Alright, we're going to get started now. And I'm sure more people will come in. And, of course, this interview is always available afterwards on YouTube as well as on IGTV. Welcome, and good evening, everyone. So, for those tuning in for the first time, this is Testimony Tuesdays, and my name is DoctorBeauty. And today I have the honor of interviewing my brother, Ikechi. So, some of you who have been watching this show, which started last year in September, you've seen us do performances together. He's a multi-instrumentalist, and I'll get into his bio later on. But we've performed together for a Christmas concert. I think we did one in spring, like just a chill neo-soul vibe.
Right, yeah.
And we're always like singing and beatboxing around the house. So, and this is actually the first interview I've done with somebody in the same room. So it's funny because last time that he interviewed me, we were in the same house, but we were just like, let's just be in separate rooms and give that effect.
Yeah.
But this makes it easier. It's like a smoother connection, and so this is really cool. So thank you. We're coming up on a year of Testimony Tuesdays. That will be, I believe, September 28th, maybe a little bit earlier than that. I'll double check. But I want to thank all of you who have even watched one or two episodes along the way, or who have been guests on the show, for sharing your story and for encouraging the people who have been brave enough to come in and share their stories, because I believe this online community has really gotten all of us through the pandemic, especially when the world was completely shut down and there was nothing to do, nowhere to go but possibly the grocery store. And now that things are opening back up, this community is still here. So I really thank you guys for your support. So with that being said, I'm going to get into Ikechi's bio, and then I have a little fun question before then, and we'll start. All right. So Ikechi Onyenaka is a 24-year-old American jazz neo-soul saxophonist, multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, and recording artist from Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, on the rise in the Philly music scene. As a saxophonist and songwriter, he takes a wide range of influences from the likes of Grover Washington Jr., Robert Glasper, Stevie Wonder, and Nas. Through emotionally driven saxophone melodies, atmospheric piano chords, and immaculate bass lines, Ikechi Onyenaka has truly created his own lane in modern jazz with his new heartfelt original composition, City Dreams. The song epitomizes the belief that one's path to fulfilling their dreams can often be a journey filled with uncertainty. With consistent YouTube video uploads and live performances in the Philadelphia area, Ikechi has developed a loyal fan base, playing at numerous events and venues, including the prestigious Chris's Jazz Cafe, Time Restaurant, Haverford Music Festival, and Facebook Watch's Peace Out 2020 event. His work has been shared by numerous world-renowned artists and companies on social media, some of which include DJ Khaled, Snoop Dogg, DDG, OG Parker, Bankroll Hayden, Rotimi, Rome Miller, Jaleel Shaw, Be On It, Lyric Q, Amorphous, Real Goats, Facebook Watch, and Attention. Ikechi aspires to become a world-renowned solo artist as well as a sideman for both mainstream and independent artists. And make sure you stream his new single, City Dreams, on all platforms and watch the music video on his YouTube channel. So with that being said, Ikechi is here.
Hey.
And I just have one question before we start, which is just a little bit of an icebreaker. Not that we need one, but it's just always fun. So, if you were stranded on a deserted island and you could only choose one record or album to listen to for 1 year, what would it be and why?
Dang, a year.
Yeah, a whole
I'm
year.
on an island stranded for a year. You put me on the spot with this one. Okay. Immediately, what comes to mind, like, the answer that comes with the heartbeat is Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life.
Oh, yeah.
I view that as, like, the best, most well-constructed album that ever came out, like, of all time. Just the stuff that he did that was so impressive. I could listen to that forever. So that'd be my answer for that.
That's a good choice. And Stevie has range. He's got those dance songs, he has the emotional songs, the encouraging songs, so I think that's a really good selection.
Right. Yeah, that kind of music, it can actually get you through the just being stranded on an island because, it has the upbeat stuff that can keep you going too. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree with that. And, since we are talking about music, can you tell us how you began your music journey?
Ooh. Man. Let me see. Where did I begin? The first time that I realized that I liked music, what I used to do was way back in the day when I was like 4. We used to, in our old house, we used to have like this mantelpiece or like this fireplace, and like we had like it was like bricks, a lot of bricks on there, and I used to pretend like it was a stage. When you're 4, you're really small, So like for me, when I stepped onto that thing, it was a lot wider than it would be today. So it actually felt like a stage. And ironically, I was actually playing like air electric guitar and like pretending like I was seeing like the audience and everything. And I would just do that every now and then. I didn't know it was like something I really wanted to do. Right. Granted, I don't play guitar today, so I kind of failed myself. But but ever since then, like I just knew music was a thing for me. So I was involved with choir in kindergarten. From there, I went into elementary school band. We had a lot of we had a teacher named Mr. Shaner. He would bring in these different instruments, show us how to play all these different instruments, and I wanted to play saxophone at first. I held off because of I just thought it would take a lot of air to play. So I went with the clarinet for some years, did jazz ensemble with the clarinet, which was unheard of in Upper Darby. You're supposed to use the saxophone or any brass instruments for the ensembles, but my band director made an exception. I went from that, graduated to saxophone, wanted to get into some band stuff, wanted to make music, and I learned different rhythm section instruments. One thing led to another, and here I am today.
Well, that's very impressive. And I remember that mantle that we had, that fireplace area. I, pretend to have like a concert or something. Yeah. And one thing I really would say is our school district, Upper Darby School District, was very instrumental in cultivating that love of music because they provided that outlet for students, whether it was theater, choir, instrumental, that was all provided. And of course it gave parents a headache giving them a ride to and from practice, but it was there. It was a nice outlet to have. So I'm happy to hear that you not only picked that up, but you kept going with that.
Oh yeah, and the school district's music program definitely did help. Just seeing how highly regarded the music program was in Upper Darby, it definitely made me feel like I was a part of something greater. And it just like I saw growing up, I saw music as the same as playing a video game. Playing instruments was the same as playing a video game. It was just fun. I didn't think of it as like work or like, oh man, I have to go to band practice. Like it was just like, oh cool, you're gonna play music, all right, cool. It was like a fun pastime. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a different vibe in other places, but like at least in Upper Darby, it was like a joyous thing just to play music and be around it.
Oh yeah, and actually we have something that takes place every January, usually in January, called the Upper Darby School District Gala, and so that is literally K through 12 performing, and it's a big deal. It's basically a huge fundraiser to raise money for the arts in our school district, and Ikechi has had numerous solos in that event, and so it's major because literally everyone from the whole school district is there, all the teachers, the principals, etc., the students. So I mean, that's really where I would say you got to start.
Yeah, the gala, it was almost viewed as like the Grammys, except without the awards. Like it was basically the same level of like attention. Oh my gosh, it's this event is coming up. This is like serious, yeah. And was a huge thing of just like, trying to get the solo to be on there. It was so hard. I finally got it in my junior year. I did it in the Sentimental Mood. A piece by Duke Ellington, and I think John Coltrane's on it as well. And that night was one of the best nights of my life.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, when Ikechi did it in the Sentimental Mood, literally, there was not only standing ovation, but people came up to him after the show and were in tears. Like, it was just a very emotional performance. And so from that young age to see that amount of passion in that performance was very impressive. And that level of skill too.
Yeah, I mean, it was really a surreal experience. You don't realize what it looks like. You may dream of something like almost every night, but then when you're actually sitting there, like standing there in front of the audience and everything, and you can see the emotion on their faces, it's a whole nother level. So
oh yeah,
I'm blessed I was able to have that kind of opportunity.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so some people start with an instrument and they may or may not continue with it, or they may feel as though it's a little bit difficult for them. And so for you, did you encounter any challenges while learning to play different instruments? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Oh, first, I can actually say I went through a lot of challenges just even learning how to play the clarinet. The clarinet was a very, very hard instrument to learn how to play. I remember when I first started, I was the stereotypical band kid that always forgot my instrument, to practice. Like, I would come in, I'd be like, okay, band, oh shoot, where's my clarinet?
Oh,
I look inside my backpack. I'm thinking that it's inside there. It's actually books and textbooks and stuff. So I'm like, man, my teacher's gonna kill me. So what I would do is I would just go inside, watch. My band director was angry, obviously, but I didn't realize it at the time. I was actually like memorizing the music. I was like, okay, well, the song just goes like this, and like I didn't have the best embouchure at the time, but like I knew how the songs went. So whenever I got my instrument, I remembered to bring it. I always just glued back in. Yeah, so it was just a thing of just finger, mechanics. My head was there. It's just getting everything right with my fingers. But once I got that right, I soared. And and the same thing kind of applied to the rest of the instruments. Like piano, I would go back to it. Piano was very difficult too, just playing with two hands simultaneously and having different rhythms at the same time.
Right.
That was very, very challenging, especially like inverted chords. I picked up bass I know I skipped over saxophone. I picked up bass in 2017 because it got to a point where it was like, okay, sure, it's cool to play these different instruments, play those different instruments, but like one thing's for sure, like I want to learn how to compose better music, and the best way to compose better music when you're dealing with a live band is to get behind their way of thinking when they're on their instruments. And the most lucrative way of doing that is when you know how to play their instrument. It doesn't have to be advanced, you don't have to be a beast on it, but like if you know the mechanics and you have a basic technical facility on there, you can actually make really cool music. Like, so I picked up bass and started playing bass lines. Bass came very easy.
Wow.
I was surprised. Oh wow, I can do a run already. It took me at least 2 weeks to start getting around it. It obviously took me a lot longer to get proficient at it. Drums, I play drums as well. That was the hardest instrument to play. A different mindset. You're working with different limbs of your body, and you're trying to synchronize them, and sometimes different time signatures. And there's a lot that could be said there, but that was definitely the hardest instrument. And I'm still learning it today, as I am everything else.
Yeah. But the saxophone is the one that people, at least the past few months on this online community, have seen you play the most. And just tell us a little bit about your relationship with the saxophone and what it's meant to you on your musical journey. See, this is why I like Adele. She asks the really good questions. The saxophone is like the number one instrument I always dreamed of playing. It was, for the longest, the number one instrument I never had. I was like, dang, I would actually write it on my Christmas list. Like, write letters to Santa saying, Santa, can you please give me an alto saxophone, and it's crazy. Like, I finally got it. I rented it out in 9th grade,
because I wasn't allowed to be in jazz band. So my mom agreed to help me, rent it out. So I got the saxophone. And the interesting thing is when you play clarinet, everything pretty much transfers over to the saxophone. It's the same fingerings. It's a bigger instrument, obviously, but like almost, if you know how to play clarinet, you could definitely play saxophone, and it's actually easier. So I was playing it for 2 days. I was like, wow, I can actually hit altissimo now. I can like hit the high notes. I can play scales. I'm getting, obviously my tone was just, it sounded like, just like a whole honking, whatever. But like, I was actually getting around it, and I was learning fast. But then my mom said, okay, well, we actually have to go on a trip to New York. I'm like, wait, so you're telling me I just got this instrument and we have to leave? Like,
oh, man.
I left, came back, practiced the heck out of it. I got good on saxophone pretty fast. But the number one thing that I was interested in that held me back was tone, Right. As an artist, whether you sing, whether you even rap, the biggest thing is your voice. You have to have an original voice, but not only does it have to be original, you got to sound good. You have to actually sound pretty good. So when you get an instrument, a woodwind instrument, it doesn't just sound perfect. You actually have to develop your own sound. So I couldn't carry over the sound I perfected for maybe 5 years plus on clarinet over the sax. I had to create a whole new one.
Wow.
And that took forever, but I eventually got it, and I'm still perfecting it today, but I think I got it to a point where I got satisfied.
Yeah. And I've been to many of Ikechi's live performances, and literally I would say that when he plays, it's like an extension of his voice. It's like the movement and the passion, like it really comes through in that tone, as he said. And so I really do agree with that. And I never really thought about that, how you have to have a different tone per instrument. So it wouldn't be the exact same approach to clarinet as it is to the saxophone.
Yeah, it's weird how it is. You would think that if the two instruments are so similar, it would just transfer over. But for whatever reason, maybe it's just because it's bigger and the mouthpiece is bigger. And it's, clarinet is wooden, saxophone is brass. So I guess the mechanics held that back. But it was definitely an interesting experience.
Yeah. And speaking about performing and having that tone, your work tends to center around jazz, neo-soul genres. So can you remember which artist or song inspired you to focus on this particular style of music?
That's actually a hard question because I can easily say for neo-soul, people like Robert Glasper. Robert Glasper is the first time I heard neo-soul. Him and Erykah Badu for her song Back in the Day. And I was listening to the chorus, I'm like, wow, these are some unique harmonies, and it felt like something I've always wanted to go to. I just never knew it existed. So I'm like, what is that? I found out it was neo-soul, and I was like, I looked into it, and then I expanded on that. I'm like, okay, let me incorporate this. And I didn't know that neo-soul was more than just chord progressions. It's a vibe. It feels a certain way. There's a lot of story behind it, and that's what makes it neo-soul, So I spent a lot of years perfecting that sound and just learning, going back into, say, the 5-spot days with, Jill Scott, Music Soul Child, The Roots, Floetry, those type of, urban, D'Angelo, that kind of scene, and just understanding where they came from and who they listened to actually create that genre of music. But as far as jazz, the earliest memories I have, first, Stevie Wonder's everything, so you can't even just say, oh, Stevie Wonder's an R&B musician, he's the first person I thought of, the first song I heard from Stevie Wonder, I believe, was Sir Duke, and that's what influenced me to get the saxophone. I always heard it since I was young, the dum bum 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 dum bum 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 bum, that stuck with me. So from that, I listened to John Coltrane. I saw the intensity on the stage. This was back in 5th grade, 6th grade. I would watch on YouTube. Just so much beauty happening on that stage. I listened to Charlie Parker, listened to Michael Brecker came later, but just those older greats. That's kind of where the jazz influence initially came from.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, because it's kind of like you went back in time, studied the greats, and then you created your own sound based on that foundation.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the thing with jazz, you know. Jazz is, as I'm pretty sure every other genre is, you know, the same. History is very important. History is very, very important. If you don't know the history of why something sounds the way it is, or even what I'm now learning, like why things were the way that they were back in the day, you know, what kind of lifestyles these people were facing in society when they created this music, it lets you understand why the music even existed in the first place. Yeah. You know, I could go back in the day with how jazz was created, but like that's just, I don't want to make this a history lesson, but there's so much interesting history with jazz, and like there's so many different pioneers, so many different key players that made it into what it is today. So tracing those people back, you know, and leading it up to the present day, it allows you to see why the things are the way that they are, and allows you to know what role you play today in music. So that's kind of like something I took upon myself at an early age to look into. Yeah,
you know, that's pretty deep, because you know, when we think about the Harlem Renaissance or the Civil Rights Movement in 1960s, and even up until today, we're still seeing remnants of that, a resurgence of that, I would say. It really is informing all types of art, whether it's, you know, painting, drawing, singing, dance, instrumental, music. Art is definitely a reflection of what's happening in society. And so I think that is very smart to look at the historical context of the genre itself, because it allows you to understand and better interpret what you're hearing.
Exactly, yeah. You said it best, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you know, speaking of your biggest influences when it comes to artists, you mentioned that Grover Washington Jr., Robert Glasper, Stevie Wonder, and Nas were some of your biggest influences. And so what qualities in these artists' music do you admire the most, and why?
When I think of Grover Washington Jr., I think icon. You know, when I think of his music, if you listen to Let It Flow, a lot of people, I don't know why, they don't talk about Let It Flow enough, but Let It Flow is one of his best songs to date. When you see his live performances, it is amazing. This man has amazing entertainment qualities. You know, he can really put on a show when he performs, and that's something that you didn't really see back then, like what jazz shows, like in jazz shows, you know, it's really like an intense vibe. You know, when the musicians are playing, you don't really go there to see somebody like walking around the stage and stuff. You go there to see like the intensity on the stage and listening to those crazy lines. But like when you see Grover Washington play, that dude is funky. Like he is just playing like, you know, all this crazy stuff on the saxophone, having a nice like funk groove. You can hear the Motown influence. You can even with all that funkiness, you can still hear the history. You know, you can still hear the Charlie Parker in there, the Coltrane, all of that. But he's having an amazing time. So, and his dress game was fire. So, you know, that's why I say icon. He was really one of the biggest faces of saxophone. When I think Robert Glasper, I think innovator. And he's somebody that brings people together, not just from jazz, but like he'll bring in people like Brandy, he brings in people like Common, he brings all these different people, even Dave Chappelle. He brings in literally everybody to his circle and creates music, and he's the guy that really just like infused hip hop and jazz together, and made it really mean something. Like people that have never really been interested in jazz, when they listen to his music, they actually want to listen to more jazz and go back to Coltrane and, you know, Duke Ellington and all those greats, you know? Yeah. So that's one reason why I like him. Who else was on that list?
Stevie and Nas.
Well, I spoke about Stevie earlier. Yeah. But Stevie, I'd say the multi-instrumentalist aspect, you know, the fact that this man is blind and he can play the drum set.
Amazing. Like, it literally blows my mind all the time.
Yeah. I remember when I showed you that video too.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was crazy. He literally, and he has chops too. and he's blind. Like, how can he see this? You know, it's amazing. So he also plays keys. He plays the harmonica. I bought a harmonica because of him. It wasn't the right one, so I was mad. But I'll get one later. Who knows? Well, this man can play everything. So that's one really big aspect, and I think that's one reason why I wanted to play multiple instruments too. Mm-hmm. But Nas, when it comes to Nas, because it's kind of like, okay, well, you mentioned all these instrumentalists and singers, so why'd you include a rapper? Nas is a guy that I look to for storytelling. Mm-hmm. He's one of the most powerful storytellers out there. Like, the thing that got me into Nas was I was playing this game on the PSP called Midnight Club LA Remix, and like it had this one song on there called Hero by Nas. Oh, yeah, so like all I heard was I was like, oh my god, that synth, everything, and like when he rapped, he was just telling such a vivid story and just had a strong way of conveying that. And I just felt like, what if I could do that with the saxophone and like morph it into something original and take all of my influences out there and like still have that story. He's really what, you know, the person that taught me this story is really integral, you know, in music. So that's why I included him on this.
Right.
And he also helps my songwriting when I make lyrics. So yeah.
Oh yeah. No, honestly, that's an amazing list of artists right there. And just as they have influenced you, you also have a community that you influence as well online with your YouTube channel. Because Ikechi actually has over 3,000 dedicated subscribers on his YouTube channel, and it's continuing to grow every day. So can you tell us how you got started on YouTube and what role your channel has had in your musical career?
Okay. So it's interesting. I didn't start YouTube to become like a famous YouTuber. You know, I think the reason why I started YouTube was because I wanted to, first of all, I didn't even start to do music. I didn't start the channel for music. I started to like actually like write comments on like gaming channels and like start beefs and everything inside the comment sections. Right. So then at one point I was like, okay, well, I kind of just have this vacant channel. I think I need something on there. So let me put up a video. I made an Isn't She Lovely cover by Stevie Wonder and on the clarinet, and then that video blew up. It had like over 2,000 views. It had people commenting from different countries. I'm like, oh shoot, I guess I'll do some more of this. And I would just, every now and then I post a cover, every now and then I post like live performance videos that I had. And I didn't look at the numbers. I would just put them there just to have places to have my videos. And then it wasn't until like 2016, 17, I was like, you know what, maybe I should probably take YouTube a little more serious and start building like a brand on there. I saw that I had 43 subscribers. I'm like, whoa, where did these people come from? It was so random, but I said, okay, shoot. Well, we're closer to 100, so I'd keep putting out song covers, performance videos, some song tutorials at the time, and like it would just keep accumulating, and I just started seeing like positive feedback in the comments. And for the longest, it was just like no comments at all. Well, when I started seeing the comments, it was people that were watching the whole time. You know, they finally got the courage to like speak, and like it was people that were like 15, some were like early teens, some were like older, and they were saying like your music really touched me. Like I am now inspired to pick up this instrument or take it further. And I was like, wow, you know, I didn't know I could have, like I literally just make this stuff in my spare time, my phone, record it, and then just throw it up there. But I don't realize the people that are behind, you know, that are actually watching this, like it's real people, and like they're going through a lot of stuff in their lives, and like they're actually like moved by what I'm doing. So that's what pushed me to keep going further. And to date, I can happily say I got the news yesterday that I have over 500,000 views total on my YouTube channel.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just interesting. I hope to keep going. It's definitely not the end. I want to go even further and shoot. Why not become a famous YouTuber? You know? Yeah. Who knows what can happen in the future?
You know, that's really admirable, because a lot of people get to a certain point and they're content and they're like, you know what, I'm fine here. I've accomplished enough. But you've pushed the envelope. You've not only perfected your craft and continued perfecting your craft in many instruments, but you're also building that online community and inspiring people who never played before to play. You inspired me, actually. For those who don't know, I just picked up the guitar last about a year ago, and that's because I was seeing my brother play all these instruments, and like, I sing, but I need to play something. I need to, so I can like go up on stage with him and play. So now I'm playing the acoustic guitar, and it just really inspires you to show that it's never too late to start an instrument. It's never too late to pursue a dream. So yeah, that's great that you have grown that community who want to learn from you and want to follow your success. And speaking of that online community, you also have a very respectable presence offline, and you have performed at several prestigious venues such as Chris's Jazz Cafe, Time Restaurant, Haverford Music Festival, and Facebook Watch's Peace Out 2020 event. So can you tell us what it's like performing for a live audience, and what were some of your favorite memories from these shows?
Ooh, that's a good question. Live performance is interesting because, with the year that we've had, just from 2020, you kind of forget how live shows was really a thing. You go sometimes, going to music festivals and all this, it's starting to come back now. But it's just crazy. We've been like a whole year without this stuff. But like, if I can remember not too far from now, live shows was a beautiful thing. Just to be able to perform, whether it be a festival or a concert. We used to do a lot of stuff in Upper Darby International Festival. It's like a community day event where they feature a lot of people from different demographics. Upper Darby, fun fact, is one of the most diverse municipalities in America. Yeah. So you'll see people from definitely, different cultural backgrounds. They'll have their food there and everything, and everyone just kind of vibes out and has a good time. But I did that. It was really cool, And I think the cool thing about instrumental music is, since there aren't any lyrics, you can pretty much communicate to anybody, regardless of whether or not they speak English or if they speak a different language. Everybody understood what happened on that stage.
Yeah.
So they all felt it. Things like Chris's Jazz Cafe are really cool. It's, more like an organized show. I heard now they're like live streaming that stuff too.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, but like that's cool too. It's just a place where I can interact with the Philadelphia music scene, do like more of the jazz stuff, interact with that kind of crowd. Time is a really big vibe. Time is nice. That's kind of the place where, like, if you want to hang out and kick it back with your friends on like a weekend, you're done with work for the week and you just want to drink or have fun or anything, you kind of go to Time and listen to some nice live music, and that's where it gets really, really funky. So
nice.
Yeah, as far as Peace Out 2020, let me see. The cool thing with that was, and I remember this, now it's all starting to come back to me. Remember when I told you, like, I got an email from someone talking about, like, Facebook is having like some kind of online event, and like Keke Palmer is going to be a part of it, David Dobrik. I'm like, is this, like, I'm pretty sure some of you guys have gotten like some spam emails at least one point in your life. So I'm like, okay, how do I know this is true? So then I actually started looking into it. I'm like, oh shoot, it really is happening. So I was like shocked, and I responded to it, and then they gave me all the details. What they didn't tell me was that Snoop Dogg was going to be in there. I was like, wait, what? Yeah. So I got selected because they saw my cover of 24K Golden's Mood. I did a saxophone cover of that, and they wanted to feature it on their online show. So Snoop Dogg actually, shouted me out for it. He said, hey, we got someone from Upper Darby. Okay, Philly area, cool. He definitely put the trumpets on there.
I remember that. I was like, wait, what? Uncle Stu? Trumpets?
Oh, man, he said you definitely put the trumpets on there. So, yeah, that was the day I found out I was a trumpeter all along. It was a beautiful day. It was just like, kind of going back to what we said, like, you put videos online, but you never know who's really going to see it. Like,
exactly.
I would not have known that Snoop Dogg would have seen that, and like Keke Palmer literally spoke right after that video, and David Dobrik. So like, it's crazy. Like Facebook, I never thought that was real, but I know that trumpets thing, man. Snoop Dogg, he's funny. He's cool.
Yeah, he's cool. It was definitely like, I remember we watched it live together. because they filmed it and then they showed it later on.
Yeah.
And it was so, like, we were like jumping for joy when we saw Snoop Dogg actually live react. But then that trumpets comment was just like, everyone was getting on him about that. They're like, yo, trumpets though?
Catch you, congratulations, but we gotta talk about that trumpets thing, man.
Yeah. So if anything, it shows that Uncle Snoop was paying attention a little bit. But, you know, I get it. They're all gold and brass looking and they all look the same.
Man. Yeah.
But, you know, Snoop is not the only artist that has recognized your work. But in case, you know, some of you didn't know, Ikechi's also been shouted out by DJ Khaled, DDG, OG Parker, Bankroll Hayden, Rotimi, Rome Miller, Jalil Shaw, Beyond Lyric-Q, Amorphous, and you guys know Amorphous is on the rise too. Real Goats, Facebook Watch, and Attention. So, what was your initial reaction to these moments of being recognized by these artists and platforms?
Oh, I don't show it right now. It's probably not in my face, but like I was flipping out.
Yeah.
I was screaming. I'm like, oh my God. They actually saw it. And not just like they actually shared it. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So like I think the very first repost I think was DJ Khaled.
Yeah, it was DJ Khaled. Yeah.
That was like back 2019, like around May of 2019. It was for that album that he had that year, and he had who was it? Weather the Storm with Meek Mill on there. Yeah, that was the one that he reposted. So
right.
It started off with that, and then it just seemed like after that moment, it was just like a train ride of like more people. You know, Rotimi with what was that song? Yeah, Love Rhythm.
Oh yeah, Love Rhythm. That was a good one.
Romeo Miller with this single Unusual. DDG. I've had a lot from DDG.
Oh yeah.
Moonwalking on Calabasas. Let's see, Hood Melody just recently, actually this week. There were a lot more. With Bankroll Hayden, that literally just happened last week. He actually DM'd me on Instagram and asked me like if I could cover his new song, Cabo. So I said, okay, sure. So I covered it and I had a great time. He even posted it. He seemed to love it as well. Yeah. So like it was just different moments where like these artists actually like shared this work that I put into, and it's this stuff. It's easy to just scroll down and go, maybe there's new saxophone. It takes me hours to film that stuff, to record it.
Yeah.
So it's like when you actually get that repost, like for any artist, it is so integral for you to tag. If any artist asks you to tag someone, just please do it. Because you don't know how much work they're putting into like actually making that video. It might have taken them 4 hours. Yeah. So and we don't do it to get paid, so it's like when the artist does get reposted, it's like, okay, cool, that was kind of like how I was paid back, I appreciate that. So it really felt awesome, when I was reposted by those guys.
Yeah, and we always, I don't know if all siblings are like this, but literally all his wins they feel like my wins and vice versa.
Vice versa
so,
as well. Yeah.
Like anytime he gets reposted, I'm like, oh my god. I like put it in my story, I put it everywhere. I tag, like I have 3 different pages. I use my 3 accounts to tag all those people. And even with my music page, he does the same thing. So I would say too that this pandemic kind of decreased the gap between people in the music industry and then artists that are not yet in the industry or independent, because now you have people like DJ Khaled who can see your page, which you never would have thought of, pre-pandemic, or Rotimi and all these people. Like they actually look at your DMs that you send them, or look at those things, and when they post that on their page, you gotta understand that they have music executives, they have producers, they have songwriters, other instrumentalists who follow them, and they see you there, and they say you're at. And literally, I've seen so many people's careers get launched or, taken to the next level because of that. So it's really just a beautiful time right now because, people are just getting put on from TikTok and Twitter and YouTube and everywhere. That's really amazing.
TikTok's a whole nother beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dabble with it, but like, there's some people that go crazy with that TikTok. So, mad props to those people.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so speaking of the fact that you've been covering other people's artists, you also all along have been writing your own music. And Ikechi had, bands and different groups of people perform at various venues with original music. And I'm not talking about, him just making up the part for the saxophone. I'm talking about he writes music for every instrument part in that band. So let's say there's a guitarist, there's a bassist, there's someone on the keys, there's somebody playing a different saxophone. He actually composes their parts for them. Like, I'm not even just saying that because he's my brother, but that's just prodigy level. That's just genius level.
Thanks.
And so you recently released your first single, City Dreams. So could you tell us what some of the highlights were for you regarding recording and promoting this song?
It was a long experience. That's all I can tell you guys. And when I say long, I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean like in an amazing way. Like literally, this project, I know most people probably take like a week or two, to like plan out the release of the song. I've technically been planning this whole project for at least since 2014, really, if not 2013. Specifically, this song's released since 2019, I want to say. I've really put in, a lot of thought and like a lot of work into this. So, found the right musicians for the project. We actually had a lot of rehearsals. Luckily, since I had all of my videos on like YouTube and everything, like they were able to see the vibe that I wanted. I wanted people to actually listen to this music and feel like they're at a live show, while it's inside their headphones. But most importantly, I think what I really wanted to do with City Dreams was to convey the emotional aspect through an instrumental. And I did have a vocal version, but like from the instrumental part, like City Dreams is basically about, it goes out to anybody who's caught in the middle section of their success story where they don't really know what the next move is supposed to be. So a lot of people see success stories where like the end is like glorified, or like, they always talk about like how they had initial struggles, but like that middle section where you have absolutely no idea where to go, right. You don't have anywhere to turn to, that awkward section, I wanted to stay right there and make a song on that, because I want to expose that type of, that energy and let people know like there is hope. If you have hope and faith, you can go to that glorious side where you get past all of those struggles. So that's what City Dreams is really all about. And the challenge was doing that all instrumental and with the leading voice being a saxophone. Can you truly feel that without words? And I think we really accomplished that. Like, if I knew the guy's username off the top, there's so much I want to talk about with this project. But like the music video, recording sessions, let me dial back. The recording sessions were lit. We recorded at where was that? Written Out Soundworks in Philadelphia. Amazing studio space. If you're ever in Philly, definitely, and your artists, definitely record there. We recorded there for 2 days. It was 2 10-hour sessions. Long and vigorous. We had pizza. Shout out to Colin for that pizza. Really appreciate that. But yeah, we were just drilling it. The first day we shot the music video for City Dreams. We had Film Shooters Media on there. We also had a documentary crew, spoiler alert, shooting a documentary for the EP. And, it was just really good vibes, but like I was just really trying to make sure that story was told and that we really accomplished something that day. And I think we really did. So as far as City Dreams is concerned, it was great. And the music video was out. We had one guy in the comment section who was a 15-year-old.
Oh.
Yeah, so he was saying, you guys really inspired me to take my piano playing to like a whole nother level. Like seeing you guys doing what you do, it's really like motivating me to become like the best musician I can be. So
that's awesome.
I was just like, wow, like that's amazing. The first 24 hours we got a comment like that. Yeah, that really touched me right there.
That is really spectacular. And now I'm gonna ask you after I say this, but for the past, I would say maybe 5-6 years, maybe more than that, I've seen the progression of this song. And when was it first written?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this song was written in 2015, and various instrumentalists have played it. But I've seen the growth of the song, and to be able to see it not only recorded in a professional recording studio, but also seeing the music video. And if you guys, after this, go to Ikechi's page and go to the link in the bio, you'll see his link tree and everything, and you can see where you can go to his YouTube channel and watch the City Dreams music video. And you can also see some behind the scenes of the recording process. But if you see this music video, it's got flashes to all the instrumentalists. I mean, it's just a beautiful story, like he said. And the saxophone really does have a voice. And being able to convey a story without lyrics is something to be commended. So, I really do feel that middle ground that you're talking about on the road to success in that song.
Yeah, I think that was really the main focus. And it's interesting because I did recently release the vocal version of City Dreams. The vocal version it's funny because the vocal version is actually the main version of City Dreams that came before the saxophone.
Right.
I initially wrote City Dreams to perform at a high school talent show. I was gonna have one of my friends rap on it, but as I was writing the lyrics, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize how personalized this was. Like, it really, even though it's vague and open to listeners' interpretation,
right,
this song has a lot to do with me and who I am as an artist and what I've been through in my career. So I was writing the lyrics, and I just found myself always updating the lyrics. If I'm at a bus stop, I write down the lyrics, start adding to it. If I'm at the pond back in my old school, just write down, I'm always updating this stuff. And as I gain more knowledge, kind of like what you asked me about before, with everything I learned with music, I would always update the song. I added the 2/5 chords right before the main melody, the dum bum bum.
Yeah.
I added that in way later, so
Wow.
that wasn't there to begin with. But yeah, it was just one of those songs where it was just always a passion project, and I finally felt like it was ready to be released.
Yeah. Well, once again, I've been singing of the praises of this song for a long time, but congratulations on your first
Thanks.
single. I mean, it is just something that you can play over and over and over again and not get tired of it, because you're going to be hearing different elements of the song each time you listen to it. So make sure you stream that on all platforms. And in addition to being a talented multi-instrumentalist, you are also a skilled videographer, photographer, and vlogger. So could you tell us a little bit about how you got into videography and all those other artistic talents?
All right, so the videography is actually kind of a funny story. Back in 2017, my band and I actually got the chance to open for Khalid and the Strumbellas back in the Ivy Side Off the Rails Festival. So it was a really cool situation, and I had someone at the time that went to the same college as me. Him and his buddy were supposed to be recording a documentary almost for us.
Right.
They had the camera and everything set up. So when there was time for us to post the video, I said, hey, where's the footage? They said they lost all the footage. And then they just never responded to us. I'm like,
oh my
we literally just opened for Khalid in the Strumbellas, and he's telling me you lost the footage.
Oh my God.
And I never heard back from him. So I'm like, oh, dang. And the sad part is, how I told you I record all my shows from my phone and everything.
Right.
For whatever reason, I just trusted that they got it, so I didn't record anything.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that day I was like, okay, I think I need to learn how to edit videos. It's very scary. Plus, I had a project, and we needed to learn how to edit videos at that time. And I couldn't. So I just said, okay, this is enough motivation to learn how to edit videos. So that's what kind of got me into video editing. I didn't realize I'd take it as far as I did today. I thought it would just be for song covers, but I started editing vlogs. I've done an anniversary, video for one of my friends, and it was really cool with that. I've done a lot of interviews as well, shooting those type of things. it's been really cool. And like I've even shot docu-style videos as well. So I work with Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, and rarely I work with iMovie. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's just a lot of different stuff, and I'm still learning. I want to learn how to color grade next. But it's a lot of different stuff I'm learning with that.
No, I think that lesson that you just brought up is something that a lot of artists are facing, especially during these times. It's just being self-sufficient, being able to do everything yourself. Like, that's pretty scary, like you mentioned, because nowadays everything's on social media, and it's like if it wasn't recorded, it never happened. So now you're able to edit and do all those things, and you also produce, because you've got, you bringing all these people together, all these different instrumentalists together, and telling them what to do, directing them. That is amazing. And you're getting a lot of love in the comments too, and hearts.
Thank you all.
And people congratulating you for
Thanks.
your recent single. And I will say, this is really the epitome of doing what you say you're going to do. And no matter how long it takes, like, doing it well and doing it to the level that you've done is very commendable. So, I know we're going to be hearing this song all over the jazz stations very soon. And something that I wanted to ask as well is, do you have any upcoming projects that you would like to announce at this time? And where can people find and connect with you online?
Yes, so I do have, actually, it's funny, I have a boatload of upcoming projects coming up, and I'm happy, I can announce that type of stuff. But most of me